Hello and welcome back to TRS Media. On today's episode of Casting Call, we're going to tackle the very difficult topic of how we put the X-Men into the MCU. Let's do this. So what's today's show about, Michael?
Well, we're going to talk about the X-Men franchise, and given the fact that the rights to the X-Men franchise now belong to Disney and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we thought, why not give it a try and see what a fresh MCU approach would be.
Okay, yeah. Then let's cast this bad boy. How are we going to do it? What kind of premise?
Well, I read the comics
Yep.
growing up, and a lot of people don't realize the likes of Rogue, Wolverine, Gambit, some of the fan favorites out there are not actually in the original first 14 issues of the series, I think. Our original X-Men, so you've got obviously Charles Xavier, but the team were originally Cyclops, Jean Grey, Angel, Iceman, and Beast. And so we decided we'll go with 5, and we're going to, in the same way that we're not going to go with the ultimate fan favorites yet, we're going to pick one of those out that people probably aren't too familiar with, Angel, and just throw him to the side for a little bit. And so we're just going to deal with...
Let's not use the word throw. We're just going to sideline him.
We're just going to put him on the side.
Poor Angel. Get the fuck out of here.
He's got wings. He can fly. He's fine. So we're going to go with Charles Xavier, Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Bobby Drake, and Hank McCoy.
All right, so as we said, we're going to be starting with the X-Men. I'll throw it to you first. Let's go with an X-Men that wasn't treated great in the originals, in original movies, in Iceman.
Bobby Drake wasn't done that bad. It's to be honest, in the X-Men United, the second one, the whole him visiting his parents, and you finding out that his parents didn't exactly open up to his mutation quite well. It's a little bit of a coming out allegory, right? That really helped build the character for me. It's just unfortunate that in the subsequent movies he's kind of just
his better role is actually in the second generation of X-Men movies in Days of Future Past, where he's a full-blown adult, and that's where we're going to attack it our way. We're going to treat Bobby Drake as an adult and not a student at the school.
No, and let's say he was a student at school at one point. Now he is the next generation of teacher.
Yeah.
And so my choice is, some of you might be familiar with him. He plays Eggsy in the Kingsman movie series, Taron Egerton.
Oh yeah, English guy.
Yeah.
Eddie Edwards.
Yeah. Let's hope he can do American accent, though, because I don't think it'd be cool. I don't think it'd work, Bobby Drake, with an English accent, especially a Cockney accent.
I don't know whether he can do an American accent. And this is something that we have to think when we do these casting calls. Yes, they're all actors, but we've seen great actors put in roles where it's just shit because they just can't handle doing the accent. And we've always said, you'd have been better just turning the character to your native tongue.
Yeah.
And so
a good example of that would be Sophie Turner playing Jean Grey.
Yeah,
in the
that's
X-Men franchise.
Perfect example there.
She's not a bad actor really, but she can't handle the accent, and it kind of brings her performance down a little bit.
And it always baffles me when movie studios do that. It's like, you need this character's an American and you've written him as an American. Cast an American. It's not like you're short on actors and actors.
Well, fuck you though. I'm picking Taron Egerton.
Well, no. We'll make Iceman English. There's no reason why he can't be.
I think it's irrelevant at this point. If he might be able to, for all we know.
There's lots of English people live in America.
Either way, I'm picking him. I'm picking him because I like that. Actually, the fact that he goes. Speaking of the Kingsman, he goes from this rebellious, out of control street
chav
kind of chav, yeah, basically, and manages to transform into a suave, sophisticated James Bond type spy over the course of the film. And I feel like there's a sort of like honesty and integrity to the character because of that. Because he's not a wanker. That's why I wouldn't have said chav, because most chavs are wankers.
At the start, he's a wanker.
Yeah, but he changes. He's not inherently a wanker.
His character develops into a stand-up bloke,
and
basically.
so I feel like he would do a really good job of bringing over the whole calm, collected. I've been there. I've done that. I'm now a serious. I'm a teacher now. I was the rebellious teenager, the student, going against my family and whatnot. Now I'm a respectful, responsible teacher, and that's why I picked Taron Egerton.
Okay, so I'm going to go along the same kind of routes as the Iceman. I want especially if he's going to be making his own movie, I want this suave, cool, calm, collected actor that can portray this role and be the Iceman.
We're not saying cool just because he's the Iceman.
But his demeanor he's a very chill, calm, collected.
Even in the comic books, he is his superpower basically.
Yeah. So I'm going with Armie Hammer. Tall.
Arm and Hammer?
Hammer.
Like the product you put in the fridge?
No, Armie Hammer. Now, I know
I don't know who that is. Can you spell
the Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp.
Can you spell his name?
Armie Hammer.
Like army, like military.
ARMI, I believe it is.
There we go.
So he's not been in a huge amount of films, but and especially, as I say, the Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp was universally panned as complete garbage. But what got me thinking about Armie Hammer?
I like the look.
Yeah. Well, look-wise, definitely he could do Iceman. But the cool, calm, and collected portrayal I want to see is the role he did in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., where he played Solo, and he's a spy. He's suave, and I think he could bring that kind of thing. And man, does that guy look good in a suit! Like, he looks like a suave character.
Yeah, but does he look good covered in ice?
The only person who looks good covered in ice is Frozone out of The Incredibles. Where's my super suit? So Armie Hammer, I think, could bring the gravitas to a role that hasn't really been fully explored in any medium except comics at the moment, any visual medium.
And again, our take on Bobby Drake is an older. He's already lived through he's already lived through the comic book Bobby at this point.
Definitely,
he is now.
And I'd have him as a professor. He'd be the science professor at Xavier's school, and so that's what I would bring.
PE.
PE, yeah. if those that can't teach Jim. So Armie Hammer. Especially if he's going to be in his own solo film, I think would be really good. So that's my choice for Iceman.
Yeah, I can't really disagree or agree on either. I feel like we both picked two safe options.
I think the biggest problem is because Iceman has not been explored in video or movie medium.
No, but we've got comic books, though.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is, though, we're in fresh territory, so any pick we could do, it's not like there's anybody. The best thing about a character like Iceman is realistically, and I don't want to put down the actor who did the first Iceman, there's nothing really to compare him against. Like, when we come on to our honourable mention, we know we've got a hard job there because he's going to be always compared to our honourable mention.
I will say one thing, though. I think Taron Egerton probably could carry his own film.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, and this is the funny thing. From stuff I've seen Taron do is he's done some really good stuff, and he's done some really bad stuff like that.
Well, they both have the same pedigree, essentially.
Yeah, the Robin Hood film was terrible, but Kingsman was good, and the biopic with... I call it a biopic, with Hugh Jackman for Eddie the Eagle Edwards was awesome. So they both had hits and misses. So I reckon they could both make the role their own. All right, let's move on to Hank. Beast.
Hank McCoy. Now, this isn't a casting decision, but we did discuss this. We're obviously going to go with the furry blue Beast.
More knowable
the Beast that people know. The Beast from the cartoons, essentially. Yeah. Because if someone saw Beast as he was in the first few issues of Uncanny X-Men, people would be like, who the hell is that? Well, comic book readers wouldn't be, but the average audience member would.
Yeah. So
we need to address the issue of, is it CGI or do we go the body suit and prosthetic route that they did with Kelsey Grammer's Beast?
We both agree that Kelsey Grammer's Beast was awesome, and it was one of the best things.
Well, I mean, I did. And then I slowly brought you to my side.
I liked it as well, and when I found out that they just employed a stuntman when he does all his ass kicking, I then thought along this.
Kelsey Grammer can't do backflips.
Yeah, realistically though, if you think about it, with modern day wire technology, your age shouldn't really affect. Because you're being pulled around by wires. It's not like you're actually having to do that. Now, injuries, like, you might get injured more. But we both like Kelsey Grammer's portrayal of Beast. And I'm not saying Nicholas Hoult did a bad job of a young Beast.
But the Nicholas Hoult Beast, though, is still the same approach. It's still, it's mostly practical.
The one thing I didn't like about the Nicholas Hoult Beast was how he kept changing from human to beast form. And it just that whole series with the Mystique as well, how Jennifer Lawrence had to look like Jennifer Lawrence because she didn't want to do all the makeup. To me, that kind of ruins it because Beast and Mystique have a look.
Well, that's the reason why I've gone with who I've gone with, because I don't think this man is a prima donna who would expect his face to constantly be on screen. And I think he would probably, like Kelsey Grammer, really enjoy and embrace the fact that he's taking on this physical
that was
role.
the funny thing about the two previous ones. You could tell that was Kelsey Grammer when he put the makeup on.
Yeah.
But when Nicholas Hoult transformed, he went full on Beast, and you couldn't tell it was him.
It's stupid anyway because you could tell it was Jennifer Lawrence too. Right? It's just like that's why I say it, prima donna. Bryan Cranston is my choice, and he is no prima donna, although he is
a badass.
He is the man who knocks.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much one of the main reasons I'm going with him is because Hank is a book nerd, nice guy, but the Walt from Breaking Bad is kind of the absolute opposite of that. However, it's the deviousness of the Walt character that to me is what comes through as my Hank McCoy. Probably Walt as he would have been before he found out he had cancer, a teacher, a man of responsibility, and someone who realistically can give a good impression to young kids.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of his role in Malcolm in the Middle as well. As just
the wacky dad.
Well, because you can also like think that that Beast is also kind of like the father figure of the team. He's the one who he's always going to be in a good way. You don't have any real drama around that character. As again with Nicholas Hoult's Beast, I didn't like seeing a Beast who's dealing with issues and conflicted. To me, Hank McCoy
embraces the Beast.
Yeah, he's the strong father figure type.
Yeah,
I don't know how to put it any other way.
With in the last set of movies, with the characters constantly changing, wanting to be looking human. To me, that is counter what the X-Men's all about. The X-Men is all about embracing your differences.
Well, there are characters
that do struggle with it, but Beast is definitely not one of them.
Mystique, when she was younger, when she was Raven, she did fight with that.
Which is weird because she could literally look like anyone.
But her story though is how she changes and becomes the complete opposite of that. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked here. Bryan Cranston, for all the reasons I said, and for the simple fact that voice. Again, I'm referencing Breaking Bad here, but when you think of mad angry Walt, that to me is fighting mode Beast Hank McCoy.
Okay, so my choice for Hank McCoy is Luke Evans. Big stature, very strong jawline, kind of like would hold the prosthetics.
He kind of looks like him.
Yeah, it would hold the prosthetics well. Plus, I think the guy's got a great voice, like you were saying with Cranston. You want to have somebody who has that commanding yet calm demeanor
when they're talking. Yeah, but then when they're in combat, they're angry and gruff.
The Luke Evans role that kind of sold it for me was. Yeah,
that's Beast right there. Yeah, was just painting blue.
Just painting blue. He's not. He's again another actor that's done some stuff that you're like, Jesus, that's shit. But then he's done some stuff that's really good, and then he's done some stuff where
it's not his fault that who would have thought the gamble on being in the Hobbit was going to end up being a bad gamble.
But that's just it. He takes a relative side character of the book, The Hobbit, that's not in it a lot because it's a short book, and transforms it into a great character. So he could definitely do a lot with a little.
Yeah, but it's not because of the writing, though.
It's because of him.
Because of the acting.
Now, then he plays Dracula, which is terrible.
Yeah.
So again, I think he's a guy who can. Again, I'm picking him predominantly for his screen presence and the way he can project his voice as a calm,
Isn't
strong.
he in the MCU already?
What would he be in the MCU?
I think I'm confusing him with someone else from the same movie. I'm confusing him with the guy who plays Thranduil, Lee Pace, who plays Ronan.
Ronan.
Yeah.
And what's it called? You believe it or not, Thorin's in the MCU.
Yeah, I know.
He has that cameo role where he kills himself at the beginning of First Avenger.
Mm.
Yeah, so Luke Evans as Beast. Again, very practical with the effects. Slap on a load of prosthetics. Sorry, Luke, you're going to have to sit in the chair for 5 hours a day. And I also think he would be able to pull off the physical attributes of the stunt work. So my choice would be Luke Evans.
Yeah, he's not in the MCU.
No.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's jump to the head of the X-Men. Because we both had the idea of how we want to do Jean and Scott.
And as us elderly Joneses know as well, is the best-looking X-Man.
Yes. Would be... Let's talk about Professor X.
Well, this one I did a little research. Because as with another unnamed X-Man, he has already been cast by someone who just stole the role. When you close your eyes and you think of him, you think of Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
And so with big shoes to fill, I feel like we need someone of a similar sort of pedigree as Sir Patrick Stewart. And so I've gone with an Oscar winner in Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, I could see that.
And to me as well, the approach with Stanley Tucci is a little bit more in line with the cartoon series, the X-Men. We're going with American accent. We're going with a little bit more of a like.
So basically,
a more vigorous type.
Yeah, we're setting him just before the Stewart style Xavier, but way ahead of the McAvoy.
And in a way that the McAvoy one didn't work for me. So in First Class, McAvoy is great. I really like him. I really see
as
him.
a real young Xavier.
But unfortunately, in the 30 years that passes, he just never really fits into the wheelchair. In my opinion, and so I want to make sure we go with someone who I can really see as like you put him you put him in the wheelchair, you put him in a nice, good-looking suit, well-fitting suit, and you're like there is a man who's seen shit.
Well, that again we're picking part of the second phase of the X-Men. Is another.
It's hard not to.
It's another scenario like the Beast and. Mystique, where they stray away from what makes the character. Like the reason why Xavier works as a character is because the emphasis is his brain is more powerful than his physical body.
Yeah.
Hence the reason he's in a wheelchair. But the X-Men First Class group, after he got paralyzed, he then all of a sudden has a cure that makes him non-paralyzed. Although someone did point out a really interesting thing to me. If Professor X can move things with his mind, why doesn't he just move his legs? Which I thought was quite funny.
Well, because maybe because if he's paralyzed, his nervous system is cut off, so he cannot communicate with his legs.
But his nervous system's not connected to you, and it can control you.
No, but remember, he doesn't have telekinesis.
Yeah, he's just
taking
over people's minds.
He could take over your mind and make you move because he's taking over your brain, but he can't control.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not like Jean.
Yeah,
Jean's telekinetic.
But and as I say though, but in those movies they didn't embrace the fact that he's in a wheelchair, and I think someone like Stanley Tucci that you picked, he's a lot like my pick. Could spend the entire movie in a wheelchair, but still command the presence of the boss. So. Because the actor I've picked has played bosses in movies. Now, he's predominantly a bad guy. So I want to see him play a good guy. And I can think of one role where he is a good guy, and he's playing alongside your buddy Taron Egerton when he plays Merlin in Kingsman, and that's Mark Strong.
Okay.
Again, very good screen presence with his voice. And his role as Merlin in Kingsman, he's like the mentor to Eggsy. So my Professor X would be the mentor to his team of X-Men. Think about that character Merlin. He's the quarterback on the computer screen, directing Eggsy, and that's how my Professor X would not be out in the field doing X-Men shit. He would be back at the mansion, maybe using Cerebro, communicating with his team.
Yeah, back how he's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah, and so Mark Strong could do a good American accent. He's played roles where he's the leader of something before, and he's got that voice. He is very distinct in his voice. And as I say, he predominantly plays a bad guy. I'd like him to see him play the good guy.
Okay, so... Sorry, I wasn't speaking to the mic. I do like the pick, but I don't like the pick as much as Stanley Tucci. I think when I look at Mark Strong, he's basically a modern-day Ben Kingsley. Like, he's...
That's not a bad comparison.
Well, no, not necessarily. He's an amazing actor. But he finds himself wandering into a lot of shit.
Yeah, it's weird that Ben Kingsley, who is a phenomenal actor,
somehow finds himself in the Prince of Persia movie and the Thunderbirds movie.
And yet in the Thunderbirds movie, he just eats the screen up every time he's on.
That being said, it's a little bit silly for me to say, though, because it's not his fault.
No. And it's funny you say that because I would want Ben Kingsley to have played an Xavier, but he's the same. He's the same age as Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley would be a good choice. I just think, though, but again, okay, no. So this is where Mark Strong isn't Ben Kingsley, but Stanley Tucci is. The acting chops.
Yeah.
I find Mark Strong to be, like, he's just, like, his agent's, like...
He can be a bit hammy.
Yeah, this is what we've got for you. And, like, you've got... we got Lawrence of Arabia, we've got Lord of the Rings, we've got Godfather, and we've got...
Weekend at Bernie's 3.
Yeah, Weekend at Bernie's 3, and Mark Strong's like... Weekend at Bernie's 3. You know, like he again, it's not necessarily his fault, but I just
but
I see him he plays too many goofy roles for me.
See, he was great in Sherlock Holmes as the bad guy. He was terrible in Sunshine as the bad guy, but that wasn't his fault. That was because Danny Boyle didn't know where to take the ending of the film and turned it into a horror flick at the end. Spoilers. He was great as the hammy bad guy in Shazam, but that's where the hamminess need to be there. It had to be like a double stacked ham sandwich. He's great as Merlin.
Okay, yeah, it's like he had a choice between Godfather or the is it D'Amico? Is that his name?
Frank D'Amico in Kick-Ass?
Yeah.
But that role's perfect. He's great in that role. That's what that character is. So he can change his acting style.
You'd save money on him.
Yeah.
You're taking more of a gamble with him. I think Stanley Tucci is the safer bet, but he's also the more expensive, and he's more like, because we think that, as we said, that these X-Men movies are going to be centered around the X-Men. Professor X is going to be more like your Black Widow type, who comes into each film, doesn't have his own film. So you do have the worry with Stanley Tucci that you're going to have him stealing the show from a couple of these actors.
To counter the Mark Strong in bad movies role, I would say Stanley Tucci was in a Transformers movie.
Yeah, and he was also in a movie that you reviewed.
He was in a terrible movie, The Core, where he is phenomenal, but the movie is not very good. He was in The Hunger Games, which after the first one just dramatically went down in value.
Yeah.
So he does the same kind of thing. Now, I can't pick between the two. I think both of them would do a very good job at the job.
It's probably an agree to disagree situation with these ones.
To me, it's not an agree to disagree. It's an agree to either one would be good.
Agree to agree.
Yeah. If all of a sudden, if I am the executive producer and we said, listen, we can't get Mark Strong, but we got Stanley Tucci, I'd be like, awesome.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, I'm going to take the lead on this too, because when we discuss this, we think, as we said earlier, if we're going to do individual X-Men movies, this would be the movie that I would probably lead off with, and it wouldn't be individual, it'd be a couples movie. And we both agreed...
A rom-com?
A rom-com, no. We both agreed in the...
She has telekinesis. He shoots lasers out of his eyeballs. But when they're together...
they're very bad. No, because we both agreed that both these characters have not been treated well on screen. And that's Cyclops and Jean Grey. So, the original premise... Is it Scott Marsden?
James
Marsden.
Scott Marsden's a former Huddersfield Town player.
No, that's Chris Marsden.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was a really good Cyclops. And it's funny, when I was going through my list of stuff and I was looking at people, I saw him and I didn't look at the name. I just saw the look. I thought, oh, he'd be a good Cyclops. And then I looked to who it was. It was James. I was like, oh, he's alright.
It's what makes the first X-Men movie so great, because every single actor, you could argue possibly out of the bunch, not including Patrick Stewart, but included in the actual X-Men team, you would probably assume Halle Berry was the most well-known at the time.
Maybe, yeah.
And so the four of them managed to just like fit into their position in the film. No one really stole the show. Hugh Jackman ended up stealing it a little bit, but that was more so a
huge bit.
Yeah.
In the first iteration of Scott, we both think that the first film did well, but then in the second film he was kind of glossed over, and in the third film his treatment was downright scandalous. Having him killed off screen was just garbage. And then
we've established he wasn't handled very well.
Alongside that, Jean was as well. Again, in the first X-Men movie, good. Second, brilliant when she sacrifices herself and sets up what we thought was going to be a phenomenal Dark Phoenix story, which then turned into the diatribe of garbage that was the X-Men Last Stand. So the first iteration was treated badly.
Yeah, let's.
Their second was even worse, I would say.
Yeah.
With Ty Sheridan and Sophie Turner. Everything Sophie Turner did as Jean Grey, and that's no offense to Sophie Turner, was garbage. Back to the thing: if you wanted to be American, just cast an American actress. You cast an English TV.
But that's unfair to actors though who can do it.
Yeah, if you could do a good American act. But to me, if you're auditioning,
like how many people out there know Hugh Laurie from House and think Hugh Laurie is an American actor?
Yeah, but that's it though. As part of the audition, you do your American accent, and if it's shit, it's like, thanks for coming. Don't forget your gift bag. We'll let you know.
Okay, let's get to your picks.
So hang on. I want to clarify. So and then Ty Sheridan did a good job in his first appearance in was it Apocalypse? He was actually one of the good things about that movie, but then in the last one he was garbage. And to me, Scott's the leader of the X-Men.
Well, nobody wants to see Jean and Scott as kids.
No.
And unfortunately, they wrote themselves into that corner because of doing the prequels. They had no choice.
Except one of them's 10 years later.
That's but my point being though is if in the 60s Magneto and Charles are already into adulthood, well then Jean and Scott need to be at that point. They weren't even born.
No.
So that's why they had that problem with the time.
We both agreed that
this isn't a review of
anyway. So let's get back to it. We both agreed that Jean and Scott were treated bad in the first two iterations. So we're going to plan to have, as I say, a movie about Jean and Grey and their relationship. And Scott, Jean and Grey, a story about Jean and Grey, a story about Scott and Jean. Scott is the leader of the X-Men team. So therefore, I think in the first iteration he kind of was, but it kind of got overshadowed. I said, I want this guy.
Kind of what?
Kind of got overshadowed, like you said. So he was the leader, but it never, unfortunately...
Enunciate.
Unfortunately, Hugh Jackman came in as Wolverine and said, no.
This is mine.
And the greatest thing about...
Came in like a cat, a house cat.
The great thing about Wolverine in the comic is he is like that. He wants to take over, but no one listens to him, and he just goes off and does his own thing. Mm-hmm. So I want a...
Cyclops from the comics is kind of one of these... You were in the military, so you probably come across someone like this before. Someone who is, on paper, an amazing leader and a great officer. Someone who can command with respect and dignity. However, when you're all hanging out in the mess after, and he comes in, no one wants to talk to him because he's a doofus and a Melvin.
See, and I'm not going to have a doofus and a Melvin as my Cyclops. Cyclops for this movie is going to be my guy who leads the team and potentially leads the franchise along with Jean, and they will be the two leaders as we go along throughout all my movies. So
what was it Lewis called him? He said he's a valedictorian type.
Yeah. So, and I want Jean to be equal with him, not just his girlfriend. I want my male and female co-stars to lead my franchise. So I've got to pick actors who can carry that.
We'll find out who they are eventually.
Yeah. So, we're just setting up a premise here. So, for Cyclops, I've gone with Henry Cavill. Because he definitely has...
Geralt of Rivia himself.
Yeah, Superman, the Man of Steel. He's definitely got screen presence. I believe he can act, even though Some people have bashed his acting in The Witcher because he literally just goes, fuck, fuck.
He's amazing in The Witcher.
Yeah, he's
fuck
phenomenal.
Whoever says that.
Now, and this is it. If you can picture an actor as that character, when he does say as little as he says in The Witcher, that shows what a good actor he is. Because he's got very little to work with, and he can transpose that onto the screen. And
I think Henry Cavill's fantastic. And speaking of what you were saying, hypocrite, he's actually really good at accents.
Yes, he is.
I thought he was American because I know him from Man of Steel, and I didn't realize he was British.
He was in The Man for an Uncle with Armie Hammer, Iceman.
Yeah.
So I'm getting some actors who have worked together here a lot. So I believe.
But hold on a second. Why aren't you holding yourself to your same standard?
What?
Just hire someone who can speak with an American accent. You jackass.
Well, no, that is it. Hire someone that can speak with an American accent.
Well, that's what I was saying. You know, like some actors are good at it.
So. Well, yeah, because Mark Strong's English, and I'm hiring him to play Professor.
But Mark Strong's usually pretty good at doing accents.
So Henry Cavill looks the part. He can command the screen. I believe he can lead a franchise because he was basically trying to lead the DCEU, which just tanked. If I sign him to a multi-deal at Marvel, he then never can go back as Man of Steel, and we can also then help sink the DCEU. I believe he could be the leader of X-Men and actually have people believe he's the leader of a super elite mutant team.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think you must know him? He's your good friend. Do you think though that if someone approached him and gave him an opportunity to do another superhero role, would he think maybe twice about it, or do you think he might be like, well, okay, this is my second chance?
Well, I believe
right.
I believe any actor.
But I think he right now he's Geralt of Rivia. That's kind of his baby, especially considering he's a big fan of the games and the books.
And I don't disagree, but an actor can do one more gig than another.
Yeah, and this is in an ideal world situation. We could get to the casting of these movies, and we're completely 100% off on all of them.
But
we're just doing this for fun.
Yeah, he can definitely lead a team, is what I'm saying. So, and not be overshadowed by anyone. He can command the presence of that. Now, to bounce off him, then I want an actor who has the acting chops, and she can also command the screen alongside such a visceral-looking character as Henry Cavill as Cyclops, because he's going to look the part. So my choice for Jean Grey would be Jessica Chastain, because she is a phenomenal actress. I think they're both roughly the same age as well. I could see them two bouncing off each other really well.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, that's it. You could definitely see them as a couple. I can't think of many bad movies she's in.
Except for
X-Men Dark Phoenix. But again, she was given the script that was written on the back of a Happy Meal box. So...
You know what's funny as well? When I was watching that movie, I actually didn't think it was that bad. It was just the sour taste already put in my mouth from Apocalypse and that cast of actors, and it just made it really difficult to just sit back and enjoy. Because Jessica Chastain absolutely chews the scenery in
as
film.
The evil alien.
Yeah, like she does a great job. You almost get this impression where she was like, "I'll show you. I should have been Jean Grey. I'm going to upstage you every chance I get."
That's kind of what I was thinking when I saw her. I'm like, she would have been so much better as the Phoenix or Jean Grey. And I think casting her, if they ever go down the line of trying to attempt that story again and maybe try and do it right this time, she would be a phenomenal Phoenix. So having Cavill and Chastain as my two main leads in a franchise that I'm now going to expand, and as we say, Marvel might take the road of doing it the way they did the Avengers, so individual films. They can definitely carry individual films. So that's my choice for the two leaders of the X-Men.
Well, I'll take it in reverse. You just mentioned Jean Grey. I'll do my Jean Grey. And I'm going with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Now,
Ramona at Scott Pilgrim?
A little bit of Ramona from Scott Pilgrim. A little bit of the lady from the... What is it? The spiritual successor to Cloverfield.
10 Cloverfield Lane. She's brilliant in that.
Yeah, a little bit of the character from the prequel to The Thing. I feel like Mary Elizabeth Winstead is kind of like a Mark Strong kind of actor, actually.
Versatile.
Has a quite a versatile palette of acting abilities. Not necessarily an amazing actor, but she's got the attitude, she's got the semblance, she's got the look. Dye her hair red. There you go,
yeah.
Jean Grey.
I think these days they don't even have to dye the hair red. I think they do it all in post, don't they?
Yeah. And I also think that she would bounce off very well
of your Cyclops.
From my Cyclops, because whereas you've got two mostly serious actors, I'm going with someone who has shown that she can play a more lighthearted role, and I'm also going with a actor to play Scott Summers, who can do both, who can also play lighthearted roles and serious roles, and I'm going with James Franco. I bet no one saw that coming.
So, we're going with a previous Marvel actor.
Well, yeah, it's happened before.
I'm just saying. Yeah, so he's going to redeem himself, is what you're saying.
Well, he plays Harry Osborn fairly well.
In the first two movies,
it's just the third film is just a complete and utter mess. Yeah, so it's not his fault.
Sam, what was going on there, man?
But to me, this
pizza time.
This is an interesting position for me to take, being such a big X-Men fan, because realistically, I should have just picked someone like Henry Cavill. But I want James Franco because I want someone who can really just throw darts at the wall with this character, with playing this actor. Someone who you'd be like, hey, look, James, you have to make sure you're a commander on screen. People need to believe that you are the leader of this team.
He's definitely versatile.
But also kind of just guess at a lot of it too. And I honestly think that's where James Franco would shine, because James Franco shocks me. Like, he's the first thing I saw him in was Spider-Man, but then the next thing I saw him in was Pineapple Express, and then I found out that he's buddy with Judd Apatow and all of that circle of friends, like Seth Rogen and whatnot. And so he has like a comedy pedigree, but he also has like a serious thespian pedigree as well. He's an interesting actor, really.
That's it. He definitely is versatile. I'll say that. He was obviously most people know him as a comedic actor.
Your Highness.
Yeah. Well, there you go. He's a comedic actor, but in Spider-Man, he's not comedic. He's quite.
Well, he's a villain.
Well, in the end, he's the villain. Yeah. Is it 127 hours? He's brilliant in that. He was great as Tommy Wiseau in The Disaster Artist. So he definitely has versatility.
Yeah, and there's your example of because that movie is obviously a black comedy, right? Kind of leaning into the fact that The Room was a so bad it's good movie. So you've got James Franco really doing his best work when it comes down to it, of pretending to be this serious. I want to do this. I'm completely deadpan, absolutely honest, but at the same time bringing some of that humor into it, that unwitting, not realizing he's a laughingstock humor.
So,
and I feel like as Cyclops, as Scott Summers, if he's not leaning too much into one side of his abilities over the other, he can really bring to you a dynamic version of Cyclops.
Okay, so let's quickly wrap up our picks for the 5 main ones then. Professor X, Max Strong, Stanley Tucci. My thoughts on that is I could take either one. I think they're both really good choices.
Yeah, I could take either one. I'm going to stand by mine, obviously, because it's my choice, but that's just an opinion.
As for working in reverse order, we have Armie Hammer, and I forgot who you said for Iceman now. Taron Egerton. Two very different looking actors. Both, I think, could play off the role, especially if you were leaning more into the. Because I think Taron could bring a goofy aspect to it as well, because he's acted like that with Eddie the Eagle Edwards. So if you wanted to add a bit of goofiness to his character as well as him being cool, calm, and collected. So,
well, I think what most of our picks are basically illustrating, where we can agree 100% is that moving forward, whoever's involved in casting this thing needs to just try to stay safe, lean towards safe with most of their picks.
And I think Marvel do that. I can't think of in the MCU. I can't think of many.
Robert Downey Jr. would be the biggest one.
And at that point, there was no MCU.
Yeah.
So, and of the latest ones.
So that's why your big pick for leading this franchise is Cyclops.
Yeah, because we pick like Iron Man led the first franchise. He did it out of necessity because they didn't have any of their big heroes at the time. Yeah. Now we do have our big ensemble team, the X-Men. Let's make rather than do what they did in the last one and lean heavily on the Wolverine character, let's take it in a different direction, have Jean and Scott be the leaders. So yeah, so our Iceman picks, again, either or. Both are relatively, I won't say have a massive resume, they haven't done a lot, so maybe they could...
Yeah, and I can't argue against Army because of that, because I don't know enough about him.
Beast, I like both picks. If the decision is to go more elder and a more wise professor, I go Bryan Cranston. If I was to have a more youthful, not youthful as in young, but as in like energetic Beast, I'd go Luke Evans.
A vibrant.
Yes. Yeah. So either one's good depending on how they write
to
the
be
characters.
honest, in makeup, Luke Evans could play either or.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to lean towards Luke Evans personally.
Okay.
I actually, the moment you said it, I thought to myself, his hairdo, like his everyday modern hairdo, he looks like Beast in real life. No, that's not to say like ugly or anything, because Beast isn't.
No, he's gruff.
Yeah, I'm sure to other Beasts, Beast is a
chiseled
very handsome
jawline. Yeah, so I depending on which way they took the character would be who I cast, because I like both of them in different stages of Hank McCoy's
Bryan
life.
Cranston would be limited to the same thing as Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
He's not a fighter anymore until he has to be. Whereas Luke Evans is Beast, he's still part of the team.
Yeah. Jean Grey, I like Mary Elizabeth Winstead as an actress. I don't want to be definitive here because I try and stay away from this, but I would generally think of Jessica Chastain as a better actor than
she is a better
Winstead.
actor. I agree.
So to command the screen, both definitely would look the part, and depending on how I wrote the character, because to me, Mary Elizabeth Winstead in my head would look in my head would look a little bit more like the Femke Janssen Jean Grey, whereas Jessica Chastain could be more like the comic book looking and acting.
Oh, and I disagree. I'm pretty sure Winstead fits the look better, other than the fact she's not a redhead. But you can just dye the hair.
And then our two choices for Cyclops couldn't be any different.
This is the one where we really
disagree because you've got a very, is the word stoic, gruff, very serious actor in Henry Cavill, and then an actor.
But he's not always serious. He's just so far been in serious things. Look at him in interviews, and he's a very jovial,
he's a very laid back, chilled out kind of guy. And then you've got James Franco, who's predominantly known as a comedy actor, but has the acting ability.
I don't know though, because
we
discussed these off camera to make sure we weren't arguing about it. But like I looked at his filmography, and he's in a ridiculously large amount of serious dramas.
But what I said was he's predominantly known. So his worldwide fame, if you said to most people, name me a film James Franco was in, they'd pick a comedy role because that's what's kind of made him famous. But like I just said, he has the acting ability and wide range to go from comedy to...
So as I was saying when I made my pick, you've got an actor who you're like, okay, this is what you've got to follow. This is the skeleton for what we want Cyclops to be. But when we need a little bit of levity, when we need a little bit of interest, when we need someone to go against the curve, when we need you to make Cyclops your own, we need a guy who can just on the spot improvise and throw darts at the board. And I don't think Cavill could do that. Cavill is your loyal soldier in the acting department. If you tell him what you want, he's going to do it.
So now we're basing our casting picks as well now on what kind of director we get. Because if we get a director that has his vision and doesn't want to book from it, Franco probably wouldn't be the one.
Franco might be a little bit too resistant, whereas
Cavill would
Cavill will be like, okay, yeah, I get it. You understand the comics. I'm the actor. I'm gonna do what you tell me. Whereas Franco's gonna be more like, yeah, but wait a second. Yeah. It'd be way cooler if he said.
Well, Franco's a director as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a bit of creative juice there that might cause a bit of headbutting. Anyway, so that's our 5. Let's go on to our honourable pick.
Bonus round. Get ready to fight.
As much as a beloved character Wolverine is, whoever we cast is going to be compared to Hugh Jackman.
And this is why I struggled with my pick for this one.
So
because I want a de-aging
Hugh Jackman
on Hugh Jackman. As much as I hate doing that.
Yeah. All right, enough.
Let's freeze him. Basically, we're gonna bring you out of hibernation every time we need an X-Men movie.
Yeah. So if you struggled with it, I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, I thought long and hard, and I couldn't really find anyone who I truly felt would fit the role. But I picked someone who I think has he's got the stereotype, he's got the stereotypical look, and he's got the voice. So if I knew the actor better, I could maybe see this happening. But I know him mostly for roles as the villain. The only truly, I don't want to say iconic because this is a contentious subject, and damn, I have to talk about this movie franchise as a result, which means we've got only one episode without mentioning it. But Poe Dameron is the only time I've ever seen this actor play a good guy and do it decent, and that is Oscar Isaac. And like I say, I'm so unprepared for picking this role because I just so badly want Hugh Jackman. So I feel like maybe he could do it because we know he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And I picked him because of the look. So but it's a gamble. It's a gamble. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, because realistically, apart from again, I've not watched every film he's been in, but when I think of Oscar Isaac, apart from Poe Dameron, I always see him playing a bad guy. Ex Machina, the horrible Robin Hood film. He
Apocalypse.
Yeah,
So
Apocalypse.
he's already been in the X-Men franchise.
Yeah, he chews up the scene as a bad guy. So yeah, I'm struggling with that one.
Give me yours.
So my pick.
I'll get my shocked face ready.
Yeah. My pick I've had in my head since it was even rumored that Marvel were going to get it, or they were going to recast the Wolverine, and that's Tom Hardy. Dun dun dun.
No way. Nobody's ever suggested that ever.
But I don't see any other actor in that role at the moment. And again, he's a very popular pick out there on the interwebs. I see the look. I see the short, angry, pissed off Wolverine from the comics. I see the Wolverine that always suggests to do stuff to the X-Men and then they just ignore him. And the key role that he did recently, which is funny, which sealed it for me, is a Marvel franchise. And that's Eddie Brock in Venom. When he's kind of conversing with himself, that kind of humor, because I always found Wolverine added the comic levity to the X-Men. He was, I won't say he was the comic relief or the sidekick comic, because that's a bit unfair, but he did always bring in the jokes, the one-liners, and the funny aspect of it. And I believe Tom Hardy, especially when he was got himself in massive shape for Bane, if you think about, and Tom Hardy's relatively short, especially compared to Henry Cavill. The way they shot Bane, they always shot him in an upward view to make him look taller. So you just oppose that. You shoot him in a downward view to make him look like the short, angry Wolverine character.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, in my opinion. I get it, sure, we need a short guy, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah, but we don't need Danny DeVito.
But it's not. People put far too much importance on that. Play the role.
Well, no,
that's all I care
and that's
about.
what
That's why Hugh Jackman's so good.
That's what Jackman did. And when Jackman was cast, people were like, "Whoa, fuck no, he's way too." Yeah. But now look at him. People can't see Wolverine without it being Jackman.
The thing I love about Tom Hardy, and this is something that he obviously developed as he got better at acting, as he got more experience. He is someone who, when you see them on screen, you can just tell that he gives zero fucks.
He does have that you could see him smoking the big cigar, not giving a fuck, and he plays angry very well. Mm-hmm. Like when when Wolverine goes berserk, I could see Tom Hardy playing that way better than anyone else that I can think of.
Well, don't you remember, Mr. Wayne? You were merely adopted by the darkness. I was born into it, molded by it.
Nobody cared who I was until I put on the claws.
Yeah.
So to me, Tom Hardy, and I've seen some fan art out there at the moment. I've seen some fart out there of him as Wolverine, and he looks awesome.
Yeah.
And I believe that once he did the movie and people watched it, they wouldn't compare him to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine because the look would be so different.
Yeah, he'd be significantly different enough to at least do a great job of, to use a cliche, make it his own.
Yeah, that's our 5 picks for the X-Men and our bonus Wolverine. I don't think there's anything else to add.
Not until the next episode of Casting Call, which we're not going to do necessarily next week.
Nope.
But next time we do another episode of Casting Call, it will be our picks for the Brotherhood of Mutants in the MCU.
So stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you liked what we talked about today, or you have your own suggestions, put them in the comments section below. And until next time, see you later.
Bye.
Cue the music.